In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to overcome emotional eating. We're going to go through 3 actionable strategies to break the cycle of emotional eating. What we're also going to address is why emotional eating happens and how it affects your progress, as well as some common mistakes to avoid while addressing this challenge. So, let's get into it. Why does emotional eating happen? Emotional eating occurs when you use food as a way to cope with stress, emotions, or overwhelming situations. It's a learned behavior that often starts early in life. Not all of the time, but very often starts in early life, such as being comforted with food as a child. Over time, this habit becomes ingrained and can lead to challenges like weight gain, blood sugar instability, and of course, a negative relationship with food. Now, it's important to understand that emotional eating is a habit, not your identity. Breaking this cycle requires some conscious effort and some self awareness. And there is no magic pill. But with the right tools, support, and strategies, you can make lasting changes. Now, what I'm about to walk you through is a bit of a skill. It takes practice, it takes repetitions. Just like learning how to ride a bike. You had to get on the bike, you had to get on the bike again, you had to get on the bike again, you had to get on the bike again. Just like learning to drive a car, you didn't just get in the car and drive down the road and pass your test. You had to get in the car and drive it. You had to get in the car and drive it. You had to get in the car and drive it. You had to get in the car and drive it until you were good enough to pass your test, right? Just like with this, we've got to practice it. We've got to practice it. We've got to put the repetitions in. But once you apply these 3 strategies, you will be able to overcome emotional eating. So, the first strategy is to change your internal dialogue. The language you use with yourself defines you. Many people unknowingly reinforce emotional eating by labeling themselves as emotional eaters, right? Why does this matter? Statements that begin with I am are defining statements. They deeply embed beliefs. Right? Saying I am an emotional eater solidifies this identity and therefore makes it more difficult to change because you are more likely to act in alignment with who you believe you are. If you say, I am an emotional eater, that's a very defining statement. If you continue to say, I am an emotional eater, you are going to continue to be one. It's that simple. So, what do we want to do instead? Simple. We want to reframe the statement to, I have the tendency to reach for food when I'm feeling stressed or emotional. Right? Not I am an emotional eater. Instead, I have a tendency to reach for food when I'm feeling stressed or emotional. What we also want to do is recognize that this is a behavior, not who you are. Behaviors can be changed with effort, right? And what we also want to do, lastly, is repeat positive affirmations daily, such as I'm learning to cope with emotions in healthier ways. All right. Now, a few things to take action on. Write down any I am statements you commonly use about yourself. This is going to be eye opening because this doesn't just apply to emotional eating, it applies to many, many other things too. Right. And then what we can do is replace them with empowering alternatives like what I used here. Right. Good. So that's the first strategy. All 3 of these strategies we have to combine. The second strategy, manage stress and emotions without food. Stress is not something you have, it's something you do. Let me say that again. Stress is not something you have, it's something you do. We want to manage stress and emotions without food. Emotional eating is often triggered by a perception of stress or overwhelm. But this response can be unlearned. The connection between the two can be severed. Now, why does this matter? It's not the external event, right? That thing over there that causes stress, but how you perceive it. Shifting your perspective can reduce the emotional response. So, here's what we want to do instead. When feeling stressed, pause and ask yourself, just stop. Is this something I can control? Most of the time, it's not. It's either most of the time we're stressing over something which we cannot control or something that's already happened. In which case, what can you control? You can't control any of it. It's already happened or it's going to happen. What can you control? You. That's all that's left. How can I choose to respond in a way that empowers me? Practice mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or journaling to process some of these emotions and reduce stress triggers by planning ahead, right? Calming with a calming routine. Take action on these things. The next time you feel emotional, stop. The next time you're feeling emotional and you're wanting to reach for food, stop. Ask yourself, it's going to take 10 seconds. Am I feeling stressed or emotional? Identify how you're feeling. Heck yeah, I am feeling stressed. Am I actually hungry? Nah, I'm not actually hungry. Right? I'm not. Right? An hour from now, will I be happy to eat this donut that's in front of me? Heck no. I'm going to regret it. I'm going to have this thing that I'm stressing about, and then I'm going to feel overwhelmed by the fact I've just eaten a donut that I didn't need. Right? Next time you're feeling stressed and you're wanting to reach for food, ask yourself these 3 simple questions. Am I feeling stressed or emotional? Identify how you're feeling. Am I actually hungry? Nah, not really. If you are, reach for a better choice. An hour from now, will I be happy to eat this that's in front of me? Whether it's potato chips, whether it's candy, whatever. That's the second strategy. The third, the last strategy, is to create space between emotion and action. One of the most powerful tools to overcome emotional eating is creating space between feeling an emotion and acting on it. Why does this matter? Because reacting impulsively to emotions reinforces the habit of emotional eating. Creating space allows you to respond proactively instead. So here's what to do: stop and acknowledge your feelings. Yeah, I'm feeling stressed right now. Distract yourself, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. Do something, whatever, doesn't matter. Few examples: write in a journal, take a quick walk, do a household chore. Doesn't matter. Just do something for 5 minutes. Go and get yourself a drink, right? A glass of water, whatever. After a short break, reassess whether you still want to eat or if the emotion has passed. Right? Take action. Again, ask yourself these 3 questions. How am I feeling? Am I actually hungry? An hour from now, will I be happy with my choice to eat this? Practice this technique consistently to sever the connection, the automatic connection between emotion and eating. Practice it. Repetition, repetition. Once you've done this enough, again, you will sever the connection between the two. You will feel emotional, stressed, without the urge to reach for food. Here's some common mistakes to avoid before I go. First, labeling yourself as an emotional eater. This reinforces the identity and makes it harder to change. Focus on actions, not labels. Expecting immediate results, right? Not going to happen. Breaking a habit takes time and effort, repetition, repetition. Be patient with yourself, right? The third mistake to avoid is using food to cope instead of addressing the emotion. Emotional eating doesn't solve any stress, it just makes it worse. Practice healthier coping mechanisms like journaling or mindfulness will help. Then the last mistake is not creating space between emotion and action, right? Impulsive reactions perpetuate the cycle. Pause and reflect before acting. Here's a summary and some other quick action steps. Change your internal dialogue, reframe how you speak to yourself, and focus on positive affirmations. Second of all, manage stress proactively, recognize stress as a choice, and shift your perspective. You are in control. Remember that. Number 3, create space. Pause and reflect before reacting to emotional triggers. Breaking the cycle of emotional eating takes time and practice, repetition, repetition, driving a car, riding a bike. But every small step you take builds momentum. You have the power to create a healthier relationship with food, your emotions, and you, right? Some quick next steps. Reflect on your current patterns of emotional eating. Write down one internal statement you want to change and commit to reframing it. Lastly, practice pausing and creating space the next time you feel triggered, stressed, emotional. Hope you found this helpful. If you've got any questions about anything, please do just comment those down below.